A game 3 for the ages. I am here at Target Center with Terry Horstman. An 80-77 win by the New York Liberty. A shot by Sabrina Ionescu. People will be talking about forever. We're going to get into it. Locked On Women's Basketball starts now.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And a very happy late Wednesday, early Thursday to you. I am Howard Megdal, and I am welcoming you to Locked On Women's Basketball. Thank you for making us your first listen every day, showing up for us the way we show up for you 6 days a week, over 200,000 of you in September alone. And my goodness, I've seen the numbers in October. We're going to blow them out of the water here through the end of the WNBA playoffs. Again, it is not just me. It is the incredible team across the board at the Next. I'm so glad we get to talk to Terry Horstman. He has been doing an incredible job covering this Minnesota Lynx team. Make sure you get Terry's work and everyone's work across the Next, thenexthoops.com, over 100 reported pieces every month dedicated to the past, present, and future of women's basketball. $9 a month, $72 a year. Support the work, thenexthoops.com. And I understand that it's the work, but this did not feel like the work tonight. This felt like we were present at something. I was talking to the great Jackie Powell, who, of course, joined us earlier today. He's busy at work on a Liberty story right now. That this is where we crossed from grand theater into opera. The 28-foot shot from Sabrina, it shocked, it silenced the crowd. Terry, we're going to talk about obviously the Liberty side of it, but just as somebody who knows this Target Center crowd well, it was so loud, and then suddenly it was like people weren't even moving when that game ended. Take me through what you saw.
Yeah, I mean, it did feel a lot like game one in a lot of respects. Yeah. And we saw 19,521 people, a Lynx crowd record.
Shout out Carly Knox.
Absolutely gut punched simultaneously. Yes. And that's kind of what it felt like to be in the Barclays Center at the end of game one when Courtney Williams converted that 4-point play, which was, I believe, was from 28 feet as well.
So
there's just
teams.
All of the layers. The 28-footer is the new most reliable high percentage shot in pressure situations. It was incredible. And it, in that game one, the fans kind of just like where I wrote about this in my recap, where I was like, the sense of we have to leave. We have to leave now. That can't be the end. And it was the end tonight. It's not the end of the series. There'll be a game 4 on Friday. It is now, winner go home or winner go overseas or winner go to Miami and get ready for Unrivaled for the Lynx. Got to win Friday. There is no tomorrow unless you win Friday. That shot went up. It felt like it hung in the air forever, and when it came down there was just 1 second left on the clock, so great strategy by Sabrina to put some air time under it, like a great punter in American football does. That is true. It was an unbelievable atmosphere and just a gut punch way to lose. I've texted multiple people who have reached out to me since the final buzzer sounded that they don't make them more heartbreaking than that. No. And the Lynx got their work cut out for them to stay in the series.
And then, of course, the flip side of it is a moment of absolute miraculous victory from the jaws of defeat from the New York Liberty. And so we'll talk a little bit more about this in segment 1. We're obviously talking a lot about the shot. Segment 2, we're really going to dive into the way in which Brianna Stewart would not let the Liberty lose. And, of course, so much went right for the Lynx. But Sabrina had not had a great game, not a classic game for her. Only 2 made threes before what ultimately turned out to be the game winner. Right? Do I have that? I believe it was just her 3rd 3 of the night, and ended up with only 13 points. But there was never any doubt. So we talked to Sandy Brondello after the game, and I asked her, essentially, did you watch your players make the decision to go win this game? And she did. She didn't have any doubt about it. And despite the fact that Stewie scored 30 points. That last play call was an isolation for Sabrina to get the shot she got. The idea there being, even at 28 feet, it was a shot she was comfortable taking. It was a shot that Sandy was comfortable having her take. And what Sabrina said was, I've practiced this shot thousands of times. She's doing it for this moment. What does it feel like? You're on your driveway. You're looking for the shot. The time is counting down. And except every one of these players, I mean, they're sadists in a certain way. They prefer to make other crowds silent than the cheers of their own crowd. For everyone talk about it, right? Wouldn't you be excited to hear your own crowd cheer? But no, they much prefer, and I get it. Like, it's a rush, right? Of this, like, this silencing of the crowd.
Right. And I think the emotional downshift is what's addicting if you're a sniper like Sabrina Ionescu or Courtney Williams, because you could just hear it in the arenas, both in game 1 and tonight in game 3. And I do think that the strategy makes sense, because we're going to talk about it. The Lynx did a lot of things right tonight. Defensively, from start to finish, the defense was tremendous, and there wasn't a lot of space or great looks for the Liberty inside in this game at all. So it's like, then shoot from 28 feet. It was a tie game,
right?
But also, I mean, I was only half saying that in jest. If you put up a big shot from deep, it's going to take a long time to get down there. It only gave the Lynx a second to try to do something at the other end, and Kayla McBride didn't even get a shot off, and in time, it wasn't good either way. But that's it's, hey, they're defending the post well. There's not a lot of room down there. Let it fly.
Great.
And it worked.
And it was great defense, by the way, on that final play too. One final defensive stop by the Liberty, but certainly, it was interesting to hear K-Mac. She was a little bit defensive, I thought. I understand it, to say, look, I guarded her for 40 minutes. If you hold Sabrina to just 13 points, yes, I know she is a lowly second all WNBA team player, not a first team, which I can't. I've talked about this on the show before. Just this idea that somehow that is not an honor. That is an incredible honor in this league.
Sure.
But she definitely didn't not take it personally, and much to the Liberty's credit.
I also think, just another layer to this, I think Kayla McBride took it personally that she wasn't on the second team all WNBA. The Lynx were campaigning for that this season. She certainly put up numbers that were consistent with second team.
She was on my ballot
selection on several media members' ballots, just not quite enough, and played tremendously tonight. I mean, she was the one who had it going of the off guards for both teams early, and then spent most of her 38 and a half minutes on the floor just making life difficult for Sabrina, and almost got there. And I can understand the frustration.
Well, I think
she
was in double digits by the end of the first quarter in points, right?
Yes.
And I remember you turned to me, and it was a critical moment in this game. We thought perhaps the turning point in this game. Liberty had cut it to 55-50. I think it was Courtney Williams hit a shot, made it 57-50. Somebody did, and then you said, boy, Kayla McBride hasn't taken a shot in a long time. K-Mac hits a three. Suddenly it's 60-50.
Right.
Unfortunately, that for the Lynx, that turned out to be the turning point. But the turning point was that Brianna Stewart then decided, I'm going to need to score 30 points or more for us to win this game.
Right.
And then she took her team on her back and really did. And again, Sab talked about this in the post game. That shot doesn't matter if Brianna Stewart hasn't taken those extra steps to make sure that they're able to do enough to get it close and ultimately win. So segment 2, we're going to be talking more about what Brianna Stewart did tonight, because Brianna Stewart, a champion more times than almost anyone can count, put on a championship performance. So back in segment 2 to talk more about that, I'm Howard Megdal, with me,
Terry Horstman,
and you are listening to Locked On Women's Basketball. But first, Locked On Women's Basketball is brought to you by FanDuel. And so it's interesting. basketball and football are different in a lot of ways. If you try and kick a basketball through the uprights, you're going to find it very, very difficult to do. And if you try to dribble a football, same thing. It's just going to go all over the place. You're really not going to have any luck doing it. That is, I think, why the Vikings at times struggle to win Super Bowls. Terry, do you think that's a fair thing?
It could be.
Okay.
It's gotta be something, and we haven't been able to put our finger on it here in Minnesota yet. So you might be onto something.
But at the moment that someday the Vikings do it, FanDuel's offering you a great opportunity. If you place your first $5 bet, you get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Again, if you're an NFL fan, is it Justin Jefferson? Is that the guy's name?
Mm-hmm.
Is that it was? They call it
young upstart.
Apparently, there's another JJ other than Jonquel Jones, and he plays here. He plays for the Vikings. Actually, here in the building tonight,
He was,
watching the Minnesota Lynx play. And so, yes, the Minnesota Vikings, all the NFL teams are available for a wager at FanDuel. Yes, it's more than just WNBA now. They have men's sports too. So again, go to FanDuel.com, place that first $5 bet, and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Yeah, so I saw Jonquel Jones look up when they were like, "It's JJ," and she was like, "Oh, not
and
me."
Even there's another JJ on the Vikings, JJ McCarthy from Michigan. So Justin Jefferson has said that he will go by his prior nickname as Jets to not be confused with JJ McCarthy. I know that is what we're here to discuss. But
that's the primary.
I don't know if everyone's gotten the word on that yet, but the Vikings are 5-0, so it could be their year for
breaking news.
Fans out there.
Oh, the Vikings winning again. It must be good.
It's never gone poorly when they've started 5-0. That's franchise.
What could go wrong? But
nothing.
No. But speaking of Minnesota teams, where that often things do go right, and a lot went right for the Minnesota Lynx tonight. What they weren't able to do was ultimately stop or even really slow down Brianna Stewart. And I spoke to her this morning. We talked about this on the podcast earlier today, that, I asked her, was it comforting to know you have in your back pocket, you have not really had sort of a vintage Stewie offensive performance? And she said it was. And then she went out and she made a decision. And in fact, the ESPN cameras, that I understand from our great colleague, Alexa Philippou, caught her saying something I can't fully repeat. We're not going to lose this blind game. Right. And so she made sure of it, frankly. She went out there and again, when you have somebody with a 7'1" wingspan, she's going to get the shots off that she wants to get off. Whether they are the right shots, whether she can make enough of them is an utterly different question. But she scored the next 13 points after it was 60-50. She scored the next 13 points for the Liberty. Just looking at that, do you feel as if it's clear in your mind that Brianna Stewart may have figured something out that she can take forward into Game 4 and potentially, if the Lynx manage to win it, Game 5 as well?
I mean, I think a lot of this comes down to, great players making great plays, which doesn't necessarily make for great podcasting.
No, but it should.
Both coaches in these finals, when we've asked about, different adjustments and getting into the X's and O's, and there's like, guys, it's the finals. Two great teams. They're going to go out and play great basketball. Yeah. And the Lynx had done a good job defending pretty much all 5 Liberty players who were on the court all game. And Stewie, I think, just, found some space, found some looks, started to feel good, started to feel it, knocked down shots. And that was when the Lynx had started to make a few mistakes. It was 62-53 when a missed shot by Jonquel Jones went straight to Courtney Williams, who was just a little too out of control. Yeah. Ball goes off her hands and out of bounds. And then Liberty get a 3 on the team rebound, and the Lynx go into the fourth quarter with a 1-point lead when they were up by 9 with a minute to go. Not
just 9. When we were talking about it, that went from 11-6 like that, right. And then from there it was a real momentum shifter, and it is striking to consider, to think about how big that was. Again, I just want to go back. Brianna Stewart playing almost 36 minutes in this one, gets 11 rebounds to go along with it, has 4 block shots. It wasn't just during this period of time that Stewie was taking over offensively. She was the best player on the floor. And she was the best player on the floor at both ends. And she was blocking shots. She was getting into passing lanes. I'd love to know the total number of deflections that we saw, not just from Brianna Stewart, but from this entire Liberty team. And on a night where a lot of what is typically their offense really wasn't coming to pass. You know, Jonquel Jones hit a 3 late that Cheryl cited a couple of times in postgame, and rightly so. It was 73-69. You had a 4-point lead for the Lynx. I think it was just over 2 minutes to go. Jonquel Jones misses that shot. Suddenly, the Lynx have it under 2 minutes to go, and a 2-possession lead they can stretch to 3. Instead, what happens is it's a 1-point game, and it was just simply tight after that, all the way down to the end. So really significant to see that happen. But Benijah Laney, who scored 20 points, was such a critical offensive force in game 2. They managed to completely hold her at bay. They limited her to 2 points coming into this one. Even Sabrina, again, 5 for 12. She didn't force it. That to me has been the most impressive thing about seeing her throughout this playoffs. She does not force it. I would argue the only time she's forced it throughout this entire playoffs is game 1, where I think she was 8 for 26.
I completely agree with that. And then also Stewart on defense, I think, is ultimately where this game was won. If you can talk about all the good things the Lynx did, what they didn't do is make enough shots, particularly under the basket. You know, they couldn't get. There were some bunnies that they missed, but it was really hard for them to get good looks down low, and they did not shoot a good percentage down low. A lot of Fee's 13 misses in this game came near the basket, and I think, if you kind of want to, there's no one, thing that tells the whole story of this loss, but I think, in game 1, you saw Fee get the best of Stewie down the stretch. And I think in this one, Stewie kind of got the best of Fee. You couldn't get enough points out of Nafisa in that fourth quarter. And, Stewie was scoring as well too, but the 4 block shots, another steal, her arms are just everywhere. Jonquel was great down low again, but the Lynx just could not find a way to consistently get the ball in the hole after the first quarter.
What an advertisement for Unrivaled this entire series has been already.
It is the best advertisement they ever could have hoped for.
You couldn't buy better advertisements than that. So in segment 2, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about what the Lynx did right, which is quite a lot. And in the same way that I thought it was possible for New York to feel pretty okay after a game 1 loss, I think similarly, it's very possible to feel pretty okay after a game 3 loss here if you're the Minnesota Lynx. Time is running short, of course, but much more to talk about in segment 3. I'm Howard Megdal with
Terry Horstman.
You are listening to Locked On Women's Basketball. Locked On Women's Basketball is brought to you by Hims. So, look, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously. We always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. Hims provides access to treatments that can help you last longer, giving you a boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Your schedule is busy. You may not have time to go to the doctor's office to get treated. Through Hims, you can get a personalized ED treatment without stepping foot outside your door. Here's how easy it is. The process is 100% online, no need for doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on the site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. Products mentioned are chewable, compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Back here in segment 3, talking about Locked On Women's Basketball, and it's important to really focus for a few minutes on everything that went right. So I want to take through, I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
What went right tonight? Because it seems like a lot.
Right. Well, first and foremost, they got the start that they've wanted and have been missing in this finals. They played a great first quarter. They had a 28-18 lead, despite only having about, I think they had 4 points from Fee in that quarter. So you got a double-digit lead after that, after, digging yourselves into holes in games 1 and game 2. The Lynx did that, and then they played great defense throughout. I mean, save for the third quarter, New York didn't eclipse the 20-point mark. They had a difficult time generating looks.
Yeah.
McBride played a good game. You got another good offensive game from Bridget Carlton, who had been, kind of in a cold spell from a shooting standpoint.
BC was BC again, is the way Cheryl
BC
put
was
it. I
BC
thought that was
again.
really true.
Courtney Williams making a lot of nice plays, 8 assists for her.
Yeah.
And 14 of those points came off turnovers in the first quarter. I think they can identify where things kind of went wrong a little bit. They were still forcing turnovers after that, but they only had 4 points off turnovers the rest of the way. So they forced the Liberty into a lot of tough spots.
Yeah.
They made plays against the Liberty on defense, both good things, and then they couldn't make them pay enough times to get out of here with a game 2 victory.
I just want to a brief add: eight assists, 2 turnovers all night for Courtney Williams.
Right.
Just continuing her efficiencies and for the ages. All right. So here's the bottom line, Terry.
Mm-hmm.
You're a Lynx fan walking out of here tonight. You're sad, you're happy, you just got to experience the biggest crowd in Target Center history for a Lynx game, right? You outplayed the Liberty in some fundamental ways.
Yeah.
But now you're facing elimination in game 5. Like, are you walking out of there happy or walking out of there sad? Like, what is?
I don't think
where are you?
No one's walking out of there happy.
That's fair.
Thank God. There's a lot of great, local businesses nearby that are, specialize in cheering you up. My favorite's the Loon Cafe. It's been there.
Fair enough.
So at least the Lynx fans have that going for them. And as you're
not,
sitting there,
not a sponsor, by the way, just a place
no
Terry,
fans.
just a Perry Terry like.
As you're sitting there or anywhere else. I don't think there's a FanDuel sports bar nearby. Sorry, FanDuel. I think what you can talk yourself into is, this team has played really well with its backs against the wall all season.
Mm-hmm.
They're a team that doesn't panic, and I don't think they really panicked at any point tonight. The ball kept not going in the basket, which isn't great, but I don't think you saw many panic plays out there. There was a little bit of like they lost their cohesion when Smith wasn't out there. Alana Smith had such an impact defensively, and foul trouble, injury. If she can't play game 5, it's over. But this is a positive Lynx segment, so we'll operate under the optimism that Smith will be available for game 5.
Well, I'll say, and leave aside game 5, game 4,
Game 4 aside, yes,
I know. Either way, listen, nobody even knows what day it is. The way this playoffs have gone, but no, very seriously, the fact that they were in a position to win this game when Smith's injury and foul trouble really limited what she was able to do. Another thing where you say, wow, even despite that, they were still able to be right there to the final. And if they have to do it without her, we'll obviously be looking at more minutes for Maisha Hines-Allen, who again was a remarkable pickup at the midseason trade deadline.
Right, and had a tough go of things tonight. Obviously, a tough spot for MHA. I don't know that that's comfort to the ears of Lynx fans knowing how close you came, but it's the first time all season long they've lost 2 games in a row with Nafisa Collier fully available. One of those occasions was the 4th of July Connecticut Sun game, where she left early due to injury, and then the only other time it happened was when she missed both. This team doesn't play poorly consecutively very often, and they didn't play poorly tonight. And they've played some of their best basketball when they've needed to. The best game of the season probably was that game 5 against Connecticut, where it was, winner take all. So if they go into Friday night game 4 with that same mentality, then you force a game 5 where anything can happen. I don't think New York wants to go home for anything other than to celebrate. So you play one more game of great Lynx basketball on the Target Center floor, then you're back in it, and who knows what can happen after that. So this group, Cheryl's held them as a group of great problem solvers, all season. They've got a pretty significant problem to solve. Maybe the biggest one yet, stay alive against a team that is as title hungry as maybe any team in sports. And
other than the Vikings.
Had to get that in there as we're still here in the bowels of Target Center. So yeah, I think the Liberty have lost more finals than the Vikings have. I'll say more than the Vikings have lost Super Bowls.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's not over until it's over. You can never say that. And there's a lot that the Lynx did do right, and a formula for a victory on Friday isn't that far out of the cards. So just got to go out there and get it.
The great Michael Vopel of ESPN, who has covered every WNBA Finals, talked about this being a heavyweight slugfest during the postgame, and I think that's really the way to think about it. Just some of the greatest basketball that I've seen this league produce yet, and I am honored and privileged that we both got to do that at the end of the day, no matter what happens next. Yeah. So, Terry Horstman, love all the work that you do for us. I am delighted that we get to be colleagues and work together, and we've gotten to see each other as much as we have during these playoffs.
Yeah,
so
likewise.
Thank you for that time.
Let's send it back to Brooklyn. I want another trip to Brooklyn.
I don't blame you. Yeah. So we will find out about that on Friday night. In the meantime, of course, Terry's piece will be over at the Next, as will the great Jackie Powell's piece as well. And I'll be sending out the 9 to you guys very shortly. So until then, I'm Howard Megdal.
I'm Terry Horstman.
And this is Locked On Women's Basketball. We will see you on Friday.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.